deal than you read all the time. I wanted to say something about the NEPA process. And when Robert Liberty said it's about the people and the people standing up and you make a difference, you do. Feel no apathy that you have a challenge in front of you. Feel encouraged. In the 1969, they decided that NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, had to be something in our nation. It is about the economy, your communities, and the natural environment, the air, water, land. They said that the laws in the 70s and 80s would come to our communities, ask us what we needed, what we want, for us to set up our needs and our purpose statements, to come forward with our ideas, and they would be thoroughly, equally studied. And we would have a range of viable alternatives to look at and compare. We would be able to take these different alternatives and know what they did to our community, how much they cost, what the impacts are, and the benefits. That is our right. Our rights, just like civil liberty rights, just like voting rights, are having to be exercised. It's the only way we keep them. Because the NEPA laws are so new from the 70s and 80s, procedures of how we check what is true or not true has not been set up. In 2006, we went to CRC with their data was incorrect, missing, and they had made mistakes. They removed several alternatives from the NEPA process. Let me tell you, that's not how the NEPA process works. You have a right to fail. You have a right to have your ideas right next to your neighbors and your friends and know how they did. That's the law. Right now, we have no place to go to and ask them to follow the process because ODOT, Oregon Department of Transportation, and WADOT have not set up a viable process. So we need to say magical words. Supplemental environmental impact statement. That means stop what you're doing right now and let's open things back up. We need to find out what they've done with their money. Every year they're supposed to put out a statement of how they spent their expenses because they've gotten state money. 2004 till now, has anybody seen any of that? Have they spent 83, 63, 58 million? No clue. Please think about this. They will follow the NEPA law when we force them to put forth a viable process. Step forward and do it. It's ours.
Okay, folks, we're almost wrapped up here. Thank you so much. We have a couple of things. We have a report card that we've listed all of the comments opposed or not decided from our representatives. I encourage you to grab one, fill it out, and send it with questions to your representative. This has already started putting pressure on our legislators. Just making these calls and letting them know that we are putting a report card out on them has really flooded my phone and email with representatives. I want to bring up Jefferson Smith just to say one or two words. Just come on up just to show his fact that he's here and that he's supporting our efforts. Come on up, Jefferson. Showed up, my friend.
My name is Harvey Milk, and I'm here to recruit you. Every movement needs a slogan. Right, what do we want? We want freedom. What do we want that? What do we want? We want justice. What do we want that? Typically now. And I think we just learned ours. What do we want? A supplemental environmental impact statement. And when do we want that? Sometime in the next several months. So who's with me? When do we want it? And when do we want it? Exactly. I want to thank my buddy Nick Call. But for him, I wouldn't have been here today. He's a guy of great courage. I don't know if he's still around, but you should make sure to say thanks for him being a first mover on this stuff. He's a terrific legislator, a wonderful asset to the state. Let me say one other thing. Raise your hand if you did see Milk. This is Portland. Some people saw it. Won an Academy Award. So the idea of Harvey Milk was that if we could change one street, if we could change Castro Street, we could spark a movement that would change habits across the country. Now, to some degree, this town and this region has made a similar argument, that if we can start something here, if we can change our habits of how we spend money here, we can spark a movement that can sweep the country and beyond. That's what we did when we built this waterfront, and that's the article we're talking about right now with regard to Columbia River Crossing. But it will only happen if, in fact, you are recruited. It will only happen, in fact, if you go beyond signing some petition and get involved in this process in some deep way, because otherwise this train will not only leave the station, it will arrive at its destination. I am not Harvey Milk, but I am here to recruit you. And we can build a movement if we can just start on Castro Street. Thanks very much.
I'm going to tweak that slogan a little. I'm a best-selling writer. I'm going to tweak it just a little, okay? We'll make that slogan a little more friendly for the press. But thank you so much, Jefferson. All right, we're going to bring up an aorta speaker, and then Joel from Cascade Climate Network, the youth that we're going to need to carry us forward. Fred, come on up, Fred. Have a say a few words, and then we're going to wrap this up with a ride out of here.
Hello, everybody. Wonderful day, isn't it? Okay. The big problem with the I-5 mega bridge is that there's no alternatives really to it. It's all our eggs in one basket, right? One very expensive basket. We need more alternatives to get people off that freeway, so we don't need to build it as wide as that. We've been here before. If you haven't had a chance, come to the Aorta booth. There's a picture from the 1970s of the Mount Hood Freeway and what the Markland Bridge was going to look like. That was a 12-lane bridge originally. And we stopped it. And we stopped it, and we put an alternative in. We got the first MAX line in the city, and we now have a MAX system that's growing in all different directions. So we need more rail alternatives, more public transportation alternatives, better land use, better communities where people can walk and bicycle, and this big bridge isn't doing that for us. So if you haven't gotten the flyer that's been handed out, pick it up. There are contact names and numbers, phone numbers. You can come to the Aorta website. That's also listed here. You can get more information. We need to get word to our governors, both in Washington and Oregon, and to our legislators. So let's do it.
There's every one of your representatives' phone numbers and whatnot on that sheet. I encourage you to grab it up. We're going to have one last speaker, and then we're going to have a group come out that's going to bring those report cards to you in a really creative way. So, one last speaker. Come on up. Joel Betterman. Come on up, Joel, from Reed College, working with the Cascade Climate Network. And let's have Joel, the future of our activism is standing right here. Isn't that right? I just laid that on your shoulder. Just laid it on him.
Thanks so much, Joe. Yeah, my name is Joel Batterman, and I'm here to represent the Cascade Climate Network, which is an organization of Northwest youth dedicated to stopping global warming and building a sustainable, just, and prosperous future for all. Our declaration of principles has been signed by the student body government of colleges representing over 100,000 students in Oregon and Washington. And we're here today because the enormous burden of the 12-lane bridge would fall most heavily on young people like ourselves. We'd be having our pockets empty to pay for this thing. We'd be breathing the exhaust. We'd be watching our snowpack melt away for the rest of our lives.